We're going to do a boxing of the Sccy CPX3, which is the 380 caliber model without the safety. That is a double action hammer fired gun. Unlike the review I did of the DVG-1, which was the 9mm striker fired gun. And the reason I got this pistol is I just wanted to see the difference between the striker fired, which is a newer model, and this here, which is an older style model with the double action hammer fired, much like the original one I bought in 2010. And like I said, we did good with the first one, and this, when I got from Sportsman's Warehouse, was $172.39. It's with the veterans discount and everything. So what we get in the box, again, we get our lock like we did with the first one, all plastic key, pretty neat. I kind of like this better than the padlock type thing. Spare 10-round magazine. These are 10 rounders that come with the pistol. Okay, ATF, your manual, your warranty card and information, and the gun itself. Okay, as you can see, nothing much different than the 9mm version. Alright. Round mag. And again, the only thing you'd have is the slide release and the takedown button. There is no manual safety on this. The CPX3 would have a frame mounted manual safety. And like I complained about the other gun, these guns don't even have a little trigger style safety. So there's no manual safety on there. Basically, it's not a terrible size with the magazine in it. I get a complete full grip with all my fingers, so I got control. And the difference between this one and the striker fired, if you look, this double action hammer fired, you can see the hammer back in there. This only has serrations on the slide in the rear, where the 9mm version has them up front. 3-dot sights, which I don't mind. I kind of like them. But the only weird thing and a strange thing that happened to me in the store is the rear sight kind of sits in that groove. It's plastic. And there is an Allen head set screw that holds it up. And if you hold the slide up enough, there's other videos where they show it better, you can see where that screw and there's a gap there. So when I was at the counter talking to the guy about purchasing it, he goes, before you buy that gun, I want to show you something. And he went and flicked the rear sight off another one of these pistols. And he goes, all of them do that. So, you know, he's telling me, be aware of what you're buying. And he more or less took a gun out of the counter and basically damaged it or knocked the sight off to show me. So, I don't know. Okay. So, these guns are inexpensive. They're simple. Like I said, it fits in the hand. It is an older design. These 9mm micro 9s were around. This one, and like I mentioned, the Caltech had a version, the 32, 380, and 9mm. These micro 9s were around since like 2010, okay? And Sccy has improved them and worked with them. I don't want to lock back. Let me see. There we go. Over the years. Now the 9mm function fine, I had very little problems, a couple misfeeds or something. I put like 120 through it. I wanted to get to 380 to see if there was a difference, plus this hammer fired version of it, and we'll cover that right now. if you're the type of person, you see a lot of these gun reviews with the trigger, and they show the trigger reset. This trigger on this weapon is much like a double action revolver. Okay, it is an extremely heavy, long trigger pull. Okay, it is like a double action revolver. And if you're the type of person that the trigger is the most important thing in a reset and having a smooth, quick acting trigger, then I would avoid this gun or any of the other models, the CPX1 and 2, which are the same thing. Granted, the trigger on the DVG1, the 9mm, is better than this. My wife already tried dry firing it and said that the hammer hurt her finger and it was uncomfortable, and she immediately took a disliking to this gun, so be warned. As far as the sight, I've seen some other reviews. Nobody's ever had the sight come off. Okay, but it is a complaint, and the nice man in the store went with his fingers and tore one off a 9mm pistol to show me how that all kind of works, which I think was kind of ridiculous, but what am I, I'm not here to say. So, and again with this one, field stripping this gun is fairly simple. You go down, take a screwdriver, pull the old pin out here, much like the 9mm version, and then when you release the mag and drop the slide release, the whole top part comes up. Now, one nice thing about it is there's a solid aluminum or whatever chassis on there, and you can see where the hammer, the double action hammer is. I'll try to wiggle it a little. I'm not going to pull it, but you see it, that thing rides along the back here, this hammer. Okay, which the reason why the cost of this gun is less is because all you have is a firing pin retained in there with a spring, a rebounding spring, and it simplifies the slide and firing pin mechanism. There's much less components in there than in the Striker Fired 9, which has a bunch of little components. You got your recoil spring, and again your barrel, standard tilt barrel system. The sights are plastic. That one's held with a set screw, and this one's kind of, I guess, screwed in there somewhat, much like the Glock style things. Reassembly is fairly simple. Make sure you get your recoil spring in the right way. Now, putting this back together, that hammer will be under constant pressure in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is try to grab a hold of this, and much like on the 9mm, when you start to draw back, you're going to have to push down with a finger to unlock the barrel from the slide so you can get it to travel rearward. Lock your slide, then you would try to line, what you would do is take your barrel, line the hole up in here, and then you place your pin back and press down until you hear a snap. Okay, then you're good to go. So, the other thing is, without the manual safety, they do have a model with a manual safety. But the reason you have this trigger the way it is if you had this gun loaded, I mean the amount of pressure sticking it in a holster or your pocket or throwing this in your jacket pocket, it would be awful difficult to catch this trigger and have an accidental discharge. So that's one way of looking at it. But like I said, if you are the type of person that wouldn't like this, and that this trigger is going to be difficult. I mean, it's tough. There's a lot of, and if you yank to get the pressure on there, it's not going to be that accurate. But then again, this gun, for its true intents purposes, you carry this, somebody's attacking you, within a normal distance, say 10 feet or less. This, you could still probably hit someone fairly easily. It's not going to be a match pistol, but it probably will serve the purpose of a defensive handgun. The only other thing, also, there's no way to mount a light or anything on this. All of the pistols have a version that are cut out for a sight on the slide. The slides are cut out. I don't know if they cost a bit more, but for a gun that's like $175, if we take this out to the range and this thing performs just as well as the 9mm done, it's going to be hard to say that this isn't a great value. With the 2 mags, lock, everything. I can see where people would have something with the trigger and the accuracy, but then again, if this is all you could afford, go out and practice, and if you practice enough with this weapon, you probably will get accustomed to the trigger and be able to use it fairly efficiently for its intents and purposes. So that's it. Hopefully I will be able to get out to the range. Now try to put a couple hundred rounds through this thing. Also, another thing, I noticed the 9mm, the mags, it was tough to get the 10 rounds in without a loader. My hands are not as strong as they used to be when I was younger. So some sort of a magazine loader would probably be advantageous to get your hands on to load this. Alright, so that's my overview of it. I'm going to go out and shoot it, see how it functions. These guns do not have a very good rep, for functioning and that. Some videos I've seen that they totally malfunction, had to be sent back. There is a warranty. It's not like the old one, but they probably would if there's an issue. You send the gun back and they do try to make it right. But we'll see. So stay tuned, and hopefully I'll be able to get out here within a week or so, and we'll run some rounds through it. And then later on I'll make some videos comparing it to other Pocket 380s and the 9mm version also of this Sccy. We'll see how they go neck and neck. Maybe I'll shoot them together and see which one I like better. Alright, thank you, and stay tuned.